Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Damn Podcast. I am your host, Angie Machado. Joined with me, as always, BeaverBlitz beat writer Jake Hedberg. We are Thanksgiving Eve. Jake, how are you?
Doing pretty well. Driving across the state to Boise tomorrow. Excited to get out there and watch Oregon State play.
Yeah, and you're home tonight, so your parents get to see you for a night for Thanksgiving. And then, yes, you will be in Boise. Ty will be in Boise as well at the game. So the Damn Podcast team minus Machado will be at the game. Ty actually has some couple comedy shows that he will be doing in Boise. So if you're there and Beaver fan, reach out to me because I can give you where he's going to be if you want to go check out some comedy. Anyway, we have some fun things to talk about today. We have a big win to talk about as the Beavers defeated Washington State on Saturday. We are going to preview the Boise State game, talk about recruiting with signing day a week away. I want to get Jake's thoughts. New commitment last night, handful of official visitors that were on campus this past weekend. Let's talk about that. And then we have some damn questions. Before we jump into that, if you are joining us and have comments, make sure to if you're watching us on YouTube, post those in the comments. We'll try to get to any questions there. If you're watching us on X, go ahead and post those on X, and we'll try to grab any of those that we can. In fact, I'm going to pull up my Twitter X account right now. And also, we are celebrating Black Friday early at BeaverBlitz. If you are not a member, new members, this is the best sale we do all year long. It's the Black Friday, Cyber Monday special, 75% off an annual membership. You get an entire year of BeaverBlitz for $26.85. It was such a $224 a month. It's less than your Starbucks. So you'll hear that plug a couple times throughout the show. But we'd love to have you join us if you're not already. If you are a member already, remember, and you're back to a full price membership, jump on and activate your Paramount Plus Essentials plan. It gets you, I believe it's Showtime and Paramount Plus. You can watch all the shows that are there. And that is a complimentary thank you for being a part of BeaverBlitz. So, Jake, let's talk Washington State. It's been a minute since we've gotten to talk about a Beaver win.
Yeah.
And it was starting to feel a little kind of down. But tell me about the game from your vantage point. I know you were watching it remotely.
Yeah, I thought it was the best game offensively Oregon State's played all season. I thought they did a really good job finishing drives, which had been a major issue throughout the past handful of games. I mean, they scored more points in the first half than they'd scored in the prior 3 games combined. So
yeah.
I was very impressed with the way with the way the offense played. I think Ben Gobranson played a really good game. He made 2 bad mistakes, kind of like against San Jose State, which was another thing where he played a really good game, 2 bad mistakes. But I was very impressed. I think the run game did well as well. It was just a really complete game, and I thought the Beavers defense was kind of, bend don't break. I thought they got stops when they needed to. Obviously, it could have been a better day, but you can't complain with the win. So,
yeah, I mean, John Mateer is going to get yards. That's just kind of the way it is. This team looked like a different team than what we've seen the past few, especially after Air Force. I think we went from the worst game of the season at Air Force to maybe one of the best played games of the season.
I think it was the best.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego State was a pretty good one, but I think as a whole, this Washington State game, when you look at the entire package, the thing that struck me, and you weren't next to me in the press box, or you would have been probably elbowed at like 50 times, was how many times the seniors stepped up on senior night. I mean, you had Samisi Saluni making a sack.
His first career one, too.
Was it his first career? See, I didn't have you sitting there telling me all the fun stats, too. No, so, I mean, there was that. It was a huge, I think it was a 3rd down stop for Oregon State. Huge. Jaden Robinson with the fumble recovery. You had Ben Gobranson with a huge game. You had the seniors offensive linemen. Huge. I mean, their pass protection was so on point. Gosh, I mean, so many. Right?
Get sacked once?
I don't believe so. No.
Yeah.
It was the one sack on the game was just the Samisi.
Macy's. Yeah.
And then culminating then with Everett Hayes' 55-yard field goal. Especially, I think when you look at Ben and Everett, especially, I mean, when you look at Everett, especially, here's a guy who started, he was a starting kicker, went through some things, injury and the kind of, he got the, what in golf, they call it the yips. He just struggled. And to watch him come back, redemption tour there, game winner, 55 yards. I thought senior day, it was official. I haven't seen a senior day, I guess, that complete in a long time.
Yeah, I thought another guy's Jermaine Terry. He had, in my mind, I think he had his best game as a Beaver. You know, he didn't have a drop. He was really that consistent option in the passing game to complement Trent Walker, who also had another fantastic game. But yeah, I mean, just talking about those seniors, I mean, these are guys, if you look at Misi, Josh Gray, Jaden Robinson, they committed in 2018. I mean, I guess like Misi wasn't here the first couple years of the Smith rebuild because he was taking his mission, but Josh Gray was, Jaden Robinson was. These guys that were here during the first rebuild, they helped build the program up to a top 10 team in the country, and now they've kind of helped laid the ground print for the second rebuild. So just big shout out to those guys. I mean, they've stuck with it, and I think they had a great ending to their last home game at Reser Stadium, and now we just got to go out there on Friday and try and hit those seniors one more game.
Yeah, good call on Jermaine Terry, because he had his best game, and then 3 guys had their first touchdowns as Oregon State Beavers in Jabari Johnson, Salahadin Allah, and Darius Clements. So they spread the ball around. Offensively, I agree. I think it was one of the best performances we've seen from Ryan Gunderson as far as calling a game and everything. So defensively, like you said, they did what they needed to do.
Bend don't break. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Coach Gundy had his best day of his career as an offensive coordinator. I mean, especially coming off of a game like they came off of where there's just no offense at all against Air Force 2 Saturdays ago, then jumping forward in a 7-day span, dropping 41 points on Washington State and coming away with a win over an AP top 25 team. Just hats off to Coach Gundy because he did a great job. I thought the offense was dialed. I liked a lot of the pre-snap motion stuff, pre-snap movement stuff, like the motions and everything, because I think it helps simplify things for the quarterbacks. It can give them an easier read of the coverages. So that was just fantastic. And I thought switching up the quarterbacks as well and kind of putting Jabari in to kind of be that change of pace quarterback was very successful as well.
Yeah, I agree. But isn't that the offense you kind of expected to see like the entire season? Yeah,
I mean, I thought there was a decent amount of tempo even today or on Saturday. Like it was more than we had seen. Like the way it wasn't a crazy tempo. Like it wasn't, it wasn't like it was like Chip Kelly Oregon tempo. Yeah. It was still like it was the sense of urgency that that Oregon State had that we really hadn't seen on the offensive side of the ball, and that was very promising to see that. And hopefully it carries over this weekend because it's going to be a very tough team the Beavers are playing.
Yeah, we're going to jump into Boise State here in a minute. But as far as what we expected, I think I was expecting more of the motion and some of the we saw motion almost a lot of stuff. Defensively, we also saw some blitzes. We saw, I think Jaden Robinson had a couple that he came from pressure. Exodus had some. And how big a game? I mean, we can talk all we want about the seniors because I think the seniors did have. And I don't know, Jake, if you watched the post-game press conferences that we put up, but Josh Gray, I asked him, I said, what, the motivation was there. You guys even on the sideline, the guys were just up and they were together. He laughed and he goes, I'm glad you asked that question. He goes, all of it goes to Grant Stark. Grant Stark had a meeting they had a team meeting and he basically said, we gotta change this and ball out for the seniors. And so, and then Coach Bray also, I had heard some rumblings about him, just talking about how the seniors need to go out on top. And so the team was, and I think it did alleviate a lot of the questions. I think even you and I might have had as to how, after Air Force, it looked pretty dismal, like the team might have just quit, given up. There was still a lot of fight in this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something you always want to see, but I think even more so for Oregon State being such a younger team, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, I think seeing that growth and the lack of quit is great. It would have been very, very, very,
very easy
to just roll over with 2 top 25 teams left on your schedule. You're on a 5-game slide, including a 28-point loss, and you don't even score a point. It could have been easy to just roll over and just end the season at 4-8 and go home for Christmas break. But these players are fighting. They want to play in a bowl game. They want to they want to shock the country on Friday. And I think I feel a lot more confident about this upcoming game now than I did
a week ago. Yeah, exactly. This is kind of off topic, but one of our live comments, Ben Smith says the poaching of OSU rosters in full gear. USC wants more defenders. I mean, that's going to be something that we watch in the, after this week, what's going to go on with the portal, who Oregon State brings in, who might be looking to bounce. And we'll talk about that a little bit later with the recruiting update. But it is something to watch, especially with all those young players. There are guys, and Jake and I've heard of players, they're already offers being made. So it'll be an interesting time. But again, let's talk some Boise State. Boise State, Jake, I know you've done all the previews, so you are the guy I want to talk to. Boise State is currently ranked 11th, and they're hoping for a CFP berth. 10-1 with their lone loss being to number 1 Oregon back in September. That was a 3-point? Yeah, 3-point. Like at the last minute too. Like
Southampton game winner.
Yeah. So right now, Boise State is a 19-point favorite. Bronco defense. Now, I think this is we all know Ashton Jeanty he actually leads the nation in all-purpose yards. He has 2,062 yards rushing, 102 yards receiving. He's averaging almost 200 yards a game. Huge. Defensively, though, I think offensive. Okay, for Oregon State's defense, it's shutting him down. That is the key to the game. Defensively, though, they rank the Broncos rank 68th in total D. However, they're 16th in rushed yards allowed and 124th in passing yards. Game plan, Jake. Is this going to be a Ben passing game? Is that how the Beavs are going to have to do this?
Yeah, I think it's crucial for Oregon State to score points in this game because it's going to be tough to slow down the Boise State offense, particularly because of Ashton Jeanty. But I would expect a heavy dose of Trent Walker. I think Jermaine Terry is a guy that they're going to try and get involved again. Taz Reddick, Jeremiah Noga, Clemens. I think
they all had big catches this past week.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, Ben's thrown in his 2 starts, has thrown for 290 yards in both those 2 games. Yeah. He's thrown for he started 2 games, and that's almost 600 yards. Giovanni McCoyan, really 7 starts because he started 2 other games, but he didn't really play. He has 1,300 yards. So that's less than 200 yards a contest. Ben's averaging 290. Oregon State is able to throw the ball a lot better with Gulbranson, and having a successful pass game with Gulbranson, that's just going to open up rushing lanes for Hank or Sala or Jake Reichel played a little as well. So it's very important that the Beavers are successful in the passing game straight out the gate because that's just going to open up the offense. Because if Oregon State's one-dimensional in this game, they're not going to win.
So this is the lowest ranked passing defense Oregon State has played all season. Are you telling me there's going to be a chance?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to come down to Oregon State's defense. I think the offense is going to, not going to light the scoreboard on fire. But I don't think it's out of the question for them to score 24, 30 points. It's all about keeping the Boise State offense subdued. And that's going to be very difficult because, what Ashton Jeanty is doing is something I've really never seen before. He's the best player in the country. Should win the Heisman Trophy. It's going to be very entertaining to watch.
So he got a little beat up last week.
He's been beat up.
Yeah, I mean, because it was an arm or elbow, and now I heard his ankle. Wyoming, I checked that score on our way home from the Beaver game. They were actually behind in the fourth quarter. It was 13-10, I believe, when I looked in the fourth quarter. Boise State eked out a win, 17-13 against Wyoming. Or was it Wyoming? Yeah, it was Wyoming.
Yep.
What is the key then for Oregon State to win this game?
I mean, I think you got to try and slow down Ashton Jeanty. I mean, I feel like he's their offense. Try and make them beat you through the air with Maddox Madsen. I mean, he's not a bad quarterback at all, but he's not a Cam Ward or a John Mateer type player. He's a serviceable guy. But it's all going to be slowing down Jeanty, and I don't even know how you really classify slowing down Jeanty as, because he's like keep him below 150, 175, however many. I mean, it's just crazy. The big thing is to try and slow down those explosive chunk runs. Try and keep his yards per carry below 5. If the Beavers do that, they got a chance. But I think the run game has been pretty improved over the past couple of weeks. But there's been times this year like Nevada, Oregon, Purdue, they've just been torn up. So it's important. That's important that front seven plays like they have been and don't fall back into those tendencies that they had played in back in September and the start of October.
I mean, how much growth have you seen from the Beaver defense run defense?
A ton. And I think, having a defensive line with a bunch of freshmen and guys like Thomas Collins, Tavita Pomea, JoJo Johnson, and even younger linebackers and Chisholm, Jordan Foster. And I think a big part of their success in the past couple weeks has been Jaheim Patterson. I think he's done a real good job. I'm really excited about that safety room next year with, Skylar Thomas at safety looks like a linebacker, and then you throw a 6'5" Jaheim Patterson back there. Two pretty big safeties.
He's really emerged the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, we saw Coach Bray before the Washington State game.
Washington State, yeah.
He wanted to see Jaheim get in there some more, and he's started the last 2 games. He's played well. Still a younger guy too. It's his first year at the D1 level, and I think he's got a really bright future. Yeah,
and like you said, I think we're starting to see the game maybe slow down for some of those freshmen, especially those linebackers, the middle backers.
Yeah.
Give me some offensive names for Beaver fans to watch from Boise State besides Ashton GT.
Yeah, Cam Camper is a receiver who transferred there from Indiana. He's a bigger body target. He's kind of Maddox Madsen's go-to guy, and then a pair of local kids kind of anchor their offensive line. They have Cage Casey from Clackamas. They're starting left tackle. He's a guy who Coach M wanted badly. He started there as a redshirt freshman in 23, so it's his second year as a starter as a sophomore. And then a former Oregon State Beaver is actually their center in Zach Holmes, who's a close friend of mine from childhood. So excited to watch Zach play on Friday. So it's a good offensive line. Obviously, if they're paving the way for Jeanty to run for 200 yards a game, but you can talk about other guys, but the key is going to be Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, that is the guy. Defensively, who should fans know about on their defense?
Yeah, they have 2 really good defensive ends and outside backers, whatever you want to call them. Ahmed Hassanein, I think that's how you say it. He had double-digit sacks last year, and he's done nothing but produce this year with 8.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. And then you got another guy on the other side of the offensive line, Jaden Virgin Horgan, who's doing the same thing. I think his numbers are a little bit better, but they're 2 really good defensive ends. They have 2 good safeties, 3 good safeties actually, some good corners. Linebackers are probably the weakest spot of this defense, but it's still a decent group. I'm a little surprised their passing numbers are as bad as they have been, just with the amount of guys they had coming back, especially at that safety spot with guys like Ty Benefield, the kid from Seaside, Tubner.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how you say it. Rodney Robinson, and then the Deepu kid as well. So it's a deeper secondary, but they haven't really performed to the level. I do think part of that maybe because teams have fallen behind against them and they've just thrown the ball more. So that kind of may be part of that. But I think it's a very good defense. They're well coached. Their defense coordinator coached out of Oregon, who's defense coordinator in Nebraska, is a Chip Kelly guy. So it's going to be a solid squad back there.
It's going to be a tough one. Again, they're ranked 11th. Do you ever? Okay, this is totally off script here. At home at Boise with Mountain West, if there's Mountain West referees, do you think they try to calls home cooking go toward Boise State's way to help get them into the?
Usually the home team does get those calls, and with what's at stake for Boise in terms of having the bye, that could kind of go a long way. I mean, it's
although this is a Boise team that is joining the Pac-12, so it seems like there's been a little more home cooking for the Mountain West teams that are staying. Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the possibility, but I think I wouldn't really read too much into it. You never know; like it could just be absolutely egregious, but. I wouldn't be like my bigger concern is the atmosphere that Oregon State's is going to play in, because it'll be the toughest atmosphere they've played in all season long. I feel like the Beavers really haven't played in any crazy atmospheres. Like San Diego State, it's nothing crazy. Cal's obviously nothing crazy. I mean, I'd say Air Force is honestly their toughest environment that they've played in. And now they're taking a trip to a very cold Boise. It's going to be like 30 degrees at kickoff with a fan base that loves their Broncos. It's going to be loud, rowdy, probably a sellout, I'd imagine. It's going to be. It's going to be
wild.
Yeah, because really a lot of these kids haven't played in a tough atmosphere like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even last year the Beavers' tough road game was, besides the Civil War. Who was their toughest? I mean, I guess Arizona or Washington State. So they really haven't played in a crazy environment besides the Civil War in 23. Yeah. So now, this will be a big one. It's going to be loud. It's going to be cold, and the Beavers have to come out. They have to come out and really create their own energy.
Yeah, and we haven't seen road game. I mean, road games in general are just tough, and then we just haven't seen them perform super well. San Diego State was the anomaly there. I mean,
they're being outscored 72-7 in their last two road games, which is not promising, but it's
why they play the game, because what? Last week, none of us in the staff picked Oregon State to beat Washington State.
Yeah, I mean, and we have a ton of stuff to play for. I mean, the bowl game. I know all these guys don't want to spend Christmas break at home. Like they want to, be around the program. Play one more game, get those extra practices, and I think the staff wants that as well.
Yeah. My kids don't want to be here at Christmas.
Yes.
I don't think you do
either. I want to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, bowl game.
Take me to the Boca Raton Bowl on December 18th.
There you go. That would be actually super fun.
Yeah,
that would be super fun.
That's my hope.
Okay, fingers crossed. But
anywhere but El Paso. I've been there too many times.
Yeah, no El Paso. Beavs kick off 9 a.m. Friday. So after your Thanksgiving dinner, you can get up in the morning, watch the Beavers take on 11th ranked Boise State. Okay, before we jump and take a quick break and talk recruiting, it is Thanksgiving tomorrow. What is your favorite Thanksgiving food, Jake? Tough one.
I think turkey's overrated, so I'm not
I'm not a Thanksgiving food fan. I don't like pie. I don't like turkey.
I don't like pie either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Favorite. My mom makes like a appetizer thing. It's like it's like cranberry sauce.
Okay.
On the bottom, and there's marshmallows on top, and it's good. That's probably my favorite.
Okay.
thing. And then I guess like the turkey legs is probably my best part, but like I don't like stuffing or anything.
I'm not a big Thanksgiving food person. I'm with you. I actually had to go to the store this morning because I decided I wanted to do a big green salad. So I'm doing the like harvest with apples and stuff on it because I just don't like any of it. But I'm hosting. There's only 12 of us, 12 people here. I am making homemade sourdough rolls right now. We'll see how those turn out. That is the big question mark right now. Trying something new.
It's gonna be a long day of cooking tomorrow. Yeah.
Long day of cooking. My brother is actually bringing the turkey, and I do a beef tenderloin because I don't like turkey.
Probably better. Yeah.
Beef tenderloin. Costco for the win.
We got 26 at our Thanksgiving, I think, something like that. There's 17 of us, like college kids going, and then there's the family and then family friends. It's going to be a big Thanksgiving. So shout out to the Pike family up in Boise for hosting us.
That is, hey, Pike family, hat tip to you because I'm just a little bit stressed about, my in-laws are coming in from California and my family, my parents, my brother, his family. So Pike family, nice work because a bunch of college boys are going to eat. I have a feeling. Whether they say they like Thanksgiving food or not, Jake will put it away. Yeah. Okay. We're going to take a quick break for the podcast side, and then we'll be right back. We're going to talk some recruiting. We're going to take some damn questions. Joe Swaim, thank you for jumping in with us. As always, you gave us a go Beavs. So there are some comments there. Again, I just want to remind you, if you are not a member of BeaverBlitz, now is the time to join. This is the best sale we do, the best promo we do all year. The Black Friday deal, it goes until next Monday. 75% off an annual membership. You can get an entire year of BeaverBlitz for $26.85. It works out to $2.24 a day. And believe me, BeaverBlitz is not just about football season. We are already transitioning for next week, talking recruiting. And then basically all of December will be transfer portal recruiting. We will recap the season. January is continued recruiting in basketball. Basketball still in December as well. And baseball starts up in February. So you have baseball previews. You have JP's weekly walk-off. And then we start spring camp. It's a year-round deal. So don't think you're going to join BeaverBlitz and everything's going to get quiet because it is year-round. You don't want to miss the coverage. And now's the time to do it to save yourself some cash. If you are a member and you transition over to a full-price membership, don't forget, directions are pinned to the top of the lodge to activate that Paramount Plus Essential plan. You get Paramount Plus and Showtime complimentary with that membership to BeaverBlitz. So that is where we're at right now. We're going to come back in just a second. We're going to talk recruiting and take damn questions. Okay, welcome back to the damn podcast. Second half, we are talking recruiting, Jake. You have been busy. We had a handful of visitors this past weekend, a commitment last night. You want to tell us a little bit about the latest commit?
Yeah, so late last night, the Beavers picked up 3-star offensive tackle Maddox Conway from Texas. He plays at the same school as another commit, defensive lineman, Nick Fisher, who the Beavers flipped from Texas State about a month ago now. He's a kid who's actually a local kid. He's from Corvallis, played his first 3 seasons of high school ball at Crescent Valley. So he's close to home, very familiar with the Oregon State program, moved out to Texas in January, and now is will be back in Corvallis as he's pulled the trigger and committed last night. A big factor was, having that familiarity. His dad and his younger siblings are still in Corvallis, so super excited for Maddox to get back home and join an offensive line that's led by a Broyles Award nominee now, as Kyle DeVan was nominated to that yesterday, actually.
Yesterday, yeah. Huge accomplishment.
Yeah. Shout out to Coach DeVan.
Updates to ratings have kind of been going on behind the scenes at 24/7. Oregon State's class is currently ranked 67th, so they're moving up. 18 hard commitments right now. How many commitments do you feel Oregon State lands between now and maybe a week from today?
I think they had one more. I think out of this group that the group that visited, I think Oregon State gets two more additional commitments
Okay.
On top of Conway, I think two of those three guys left are going to end up committing. But both, I mean, I don't know how many will sign between now and February. I do think one of the three is going to pull the trigger and end up signing before Wednesday. And there's another one I'm keeping my eye on as well.
Okay, so let me pull that up. Who visited? Just so we can talk about just the guys that visited, and then we're going to talk about the commits for a second. So we had Keandre Waverly, a 3-star ranked tight end from Machado, Washington. Blake Thompson from Richmond, Texas. So home of Quiz and Quan, a cornerback. And then Jackson Griffin from Red Mountain, Mesa, Arizona, another offensive tackle. So those are your guys that were visiting. Blake Thompson is one to watch. Although, was it Blake or was it Jackson that said they were waiting till February?
Jackson is waiting till February. Thompson's still TBD.
Okay, so that is the group that was here. Jake's thinking 2 more, so that would be pretty impressive. Okay, so 18 commitments right now, led by. I'm going to jump back over to the commitments.
Trey Glasper, Corday Glass, Nick Fisher, and Jaleel Tucker are all
3 high 3-star, 88 ranks. Talk to me about who's your favorite of that bunch.
I mean, I really like all 3 of those guys, or all 4 of them. Excuse me.
4, yeah.
No, I think Glass is probably a guy who has a chance to come in and make an immediate impact. You know, he's
for those that aren't following recruiting closely. Corday Glass is a running back from Hedberg.
Yep, sorry, I'll make that more clear. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Jake and I talk about these guys all the time, and then
I forget.
Our listeners might be like, "What position?" Running back.
It's a 3-star back out of Hanford, California. It's 5'9", $190. I mean, Oregon State has seen running backs play as freshmen a lot in the last 7 years. You got Jamar Jefferson, Damian Martinez, and even this year with Saladin. It's not a foregone conclusion that Jam Griffin gets that medical red shirt. So, it could just be Anthony Hankerson and Sala back. We could see Cornell Hatcher kind of take that third back role, or Jake Reichel, or we could see a true freshman in Glass who's really he's about as dual threat as running back as it gets. He's a really good pass catcher out of the backfield. So I think that's something where that might pave the way for him to get some time as a third down back. So really excited about Glass. And I think Nick Fisher as well is kind of a guy coming in on a defensive line where there's not a whole lot of depth. It might take some time to bulk up, add 20, 25 pounds. He's only 250 right now.
They have him. 24/7 has him as an edge rusher, but I think the plan with him is a tackle.
Tackle, yeah.
Jesse
Myers as well is listed as an end. As an edge, and his thing is he's going to end up playing defensive line. At least that's the plan right now.
Yeah, he's 6'3", 230. I think he's bigger than 230, actually. I've seen him.
He checked in at 255 on his visit.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I met him on the sideline one.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
I think he's starting to put on weight.
Okay, for that.
Immediately.
Trey Glasper has been the top rated recruit for quite some time. Cornerback out of Green Valley, Henderson, Nevada. What do you like about his game?
I like his versatility. He's been a really good receiver as well for them this year, and he's got a pretty good frame as well. 6'1", 6'2", $170, $180. So he's got size, which is what Oregon State likes in their cornerbacks. With Dre and Exodus are kind of bigger guys. He's kind of in that same mold, and the Beavers don't really have a whole lot at corner outside of Singleton, White, Jordan, and Exodus. So that could be a spot where Trey Glasper steps in and sees immediate time next year. And then, the other corners, Jaleel Tucker, who's a guy who was very highly sought after in 2022, played in a game at Oregon. He's actually been playing mostly receiver at his junior college, where he's been pretty impressive. But the plan is to bring him in as a corner because he's already got familiarity of sorts with Oregon State's scheme, because Rod Chance was actually one who got him to commit to Oregon. So he's super familiar there, and I think Tucker's a guy that's going to see some time next year for sure.
Yeah, and so his rankings, as far as JUCO, he's a 3-star, 88 ranking,
Top
but
10.
he he's listed as the number 1 athlete in the JUCO ranks, number 2 player in California, and 8 nationally. So big time JUCO pickup for Oregon State there. Okay, so right below those guys, so those 4 were ranked 88, high 3-star. 2 more, or actually there's several more
Like
high
4 or
3-stars.
5. Yeah.
Ranked 87. So that's great. But it's led by local prospect Jake Normoyle, interior offensive lineman, going to be playing for the state championship this weekend. And then right behind him is Tristan Tia, the quarterback out of Pleasanton, California. So you got the lineman who's going to be protecting the quarterback. Coming off those 2. And,
this might be the potential future. I mean, Jake Normoyle's he's committed as a center. He played exclusively tackle played exclusively tackle at Westland, where he's started since he was a sophomore. He's a super, super great kid as well. He had some pretty good offers. The Ducks pour in on him pretty hard. He appears to be locked in and ready to go for signing day next week.
And he's an early enrollee.
Yes, Jake will be on campus January 3rd or something like that. So a good chunk of this group is actually enrolling early, which is nice.
Okay.
Because last year we only had the 2, but there should be a lot more enrolling early this year. And then I wish Tristan Tia was one of those guys. He's a guy who was just named NorCal Player of the Year. He's had a really good senior season. This was a huge get. I think what we've seen from Ryan Henderson as a recruiter is he's a great identifier of talent. He was in on Jaron Chiaves Sagapolatele before a lot of these other schools were. And now he's a borderline 5-star quarterback. He was in on Hegan Rose, who's a borderline 4-star quarterback, and he's identified Tristan Tia, who's had a lot of bigger name schools, try and sway his commitment. So that was a big get for Coach Gundy.
Yeah, that's a big one. Normoyle, like you said too, a big get. This is an Oregon legacy family. Dad played at Oregon, mom went to Oregon. And
big Duck fans too.
Pardon?
They're big Duck fans too.
Yeah. So
we're big Duck fans. We're big Duck.
It's a big get for Oregon State and for Coach Devan as he's built that relationship. And just it helps. I mean, as we've seen, the line is both offensive and defensive line. It all starts there. So you need those strong commitments up front. And there's a lot of exciting guys, though, like Blue Dantzler's one edge rusher out of Chandler Basha.
He's shot up boards.
Yeah, he's one that, I'm excited to see him. One that I think goes under the radar is Cody Signer out of Crane, tight end, 6'7".
225.
He's playing in 1A Oregon ball, but tough kid. Lots of. Do you have any? Who's your favorite commit that you've been in touch with? Like just talking with them.
Like in terms of football wise, seems like a genuinely.
Just guys that are getting back to you. I would say
all of them are, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would say the guys that have their shit together.
Yeah, the majority of them have been. I think Jeremiah obviously comes to mind. He's been a very vocal guy. 3-star linebacker Jeremiah Ioane out of the Las Vegas area. He's been very vocal ever since he committed back in January. Yeah. He's a great kid. Nick Fisher's a kid I've been impressed with. Dantzler as well. Tristan Tia, really all of them. There hasn't been anyone that they've all been awesome. So.
Anybody you're concerned with as far as maybe looking or maybe not signing?
No, I think Oregon State should have everyone signing. There was a good chunk of guys enrolling early. I can look at it real fast, go down the list and see who is going to be on campus. Jeremiah Ioane will, Elijah Washington will, Jake Normoyle will, Stephen Walker will, Trey Glasper will, I believe. Blue Dantzler and Jaleel Tucker. So that's 7. Still waiting on Conway. So that could be 8 out of the 18.
That's amazing.
I think that's everybody. I may be missing 1 or 2.
Okay.
But
no, that's huge. Just to get those guys in for spring ball, get accustomed to the system. This class feels way more thought put in. I mean, last year I think it was very thrown together.
Yeah, and they had to scramble last year. I mean, to give credit to the staff too, because they had to scramble last year, but some of the guys that picked up in the last 2 weeks, or week even, Shamar Michael, Saladin, and then the guys that they identified back when Jonathan Smith was still the coach that stuck with it, Dexter and Exodus, they've made huge impacts as well. So, it's very early, they're still freshmen, but it's been promising to see these younger guys take on bigger roles and earn spots on the two deeps and potentially even starting roles next year in the case of Sala or Exodus or Dexter even.
Yeah. No, it's the young guys, and they've taken their lumps, this season. But
as any freshman will. I mean, I can't.
Absolutely.
I don't really remember Oregon State ever having a freshman that didn't take lumps. I mean, even Jaquiz Rogers' first 2 games, he didn't do a whole lot against Penn State. Then he broke out against SC. It takes time. It's a big adjustment.
Yeah. And I would say defensively it's even harder.
Yeah. I think the hardest was the offensive line and defensive line. I really can't think of any, at least.
And I would say corners. Corners are tough.
Corners as well.
For freshmen.
I mean, even then, the Beavers have had some success there with, Jamal McCoy last year, Exodus Ayers this year. I think if you're a young cornerback, Andre Jordan's another guy who played a lot last year as a freshman and then started 9 games this year. I mean, I think if you're a young cornerback, you look at the job that Coach Perkins had done and Coach Chance is now doing at, getting these young guys and getting them ready to play immediately. And I think that's definitely something that stands out. And that's why I think Oregon State's done such a good job in the secondary with, Trey Glasper, Tucker, Sean Craig, David Madison, Stephen Walker, and now potentially Thompson as well.
Yeah. It's, we're seeing that pay dividends too, and a full year of recruiting. And I see with this staff, it'll just get better, as they keep having time. Okay. Do you want to do some damn questions?
Yep.
Let's do it. Okay. So this is all coming from the lodge. I'm looking to see, I don't see any questions on X. Okay. Outside of Bennett at quarterback, which one player has to play their best in order for the Beavs to pull off the upset at Boise? This is post JR 12.
Yeah, that's a tough question just because it's hard to, obviously your mind goes to the defense and trying to slow down Ashton Ginty, but it's more of a unit as a whole rather than a collective group. So I just go with the interior defensive tackles. I think Collins, Halloumi, Schuster, if he's back, Pomea, Johnson, I think it's crucial for those guys to have huge games because if they can't, fill the gaps and allow Chisholm, Jordan, Foster, Thomas, and Patterson, shoot the gaps, make those tackles, then it could be a long day because Ginty will run all over you.
Yeah. And I would actually say offensively, the line as well, because the line's going to need to protect Ben.
I think the tackles, I think it's Grant Stark and Tank are going to have their hands full.
Yeah. Because if Ben has some time to throw, then I think Beavs can move the ball some. If they're getting pressure, Oregon State can't win as a run-only team. Okay, Black Bandit. Do you see the complete game and win versus Washington State as possibly helping us retain a few of our more emerging talented players?
Yeah, potentially. I don't really know how much of an effect it will have when there's 6 figures being dangled in front of you. I think it really just depends on the player. Yeah.
And believe me, we're hearing rumors already of the money being tossed at some of these guys. So, gonna have to step up here. Here for the Beavers, I think we kind of answered a bunch of this, but Jake, visit recruiting updates, please, which we just talked about. Yeah. But he said you've got the goods and any recruiting tidbits. I think the staff's been pretty, from what I've heard, they're doing a really good job, but they I think are optimistic about how they're doing on the recruiting trail.
Yeah. It sounds like out of the 3 guys that visited and haven't committed, it sounds like, Jackson Griffin, he's taking a weekend trip to Arizona. I think it'll be down to either the Beavers or his hometown Wildcats. Thompson's looking like Oregon State, Texas State, which is, again, the team close to home or come out west. And then Tiandre Waverly, he'll be committing on January 11th at the All-American Bowl. He'll be cruising between the Beavers and Notre Dame. And that could be a big get for Oregon State to get a pretty highly regarded kid in front of the entire country. So that could be a big get momentum-wise.
In the comments here on YouTube, Nick Volker, players can leave for the money, but it hasn't been going well for those that left last season.
Yeah, I mean, and
I think that's going to be something that the coaches point to.
And I mean, at Trent Bray's his press conference on Monday, Nick Dowse was like, "Is that a talking point? Where is the grass? Like, do you bring that up where the grass isn't always greener?" And he didn't necessarily say no.
Yeah.
So I mean, which I think is fair. It's fair. I mean, if you look at the guys who left, how many of them are really doing better than if they had stayed? I'd argue the only one that really hasn't damaged their stock's been Easton and Martinez, but they haven't improved it either. I mean, I think DJ obviously dampened it. Sione dampened it. Silas hasn't really done a whole lot. The one that has really improved it has been Jermod McCoy.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, Childs hasn't had a great year. Jack Filling's been quiet. Tanner Miller, haven't really heard anything. So, I mean, you look at all those big name guys that left and chased the bag. Yeah, they got paid then, but how much? Especially if you look at someone like Silas Bolden, how much did he miss out on for potentially being the receiver one at Oregon State and having a 1,000-yard season?
Exactly.
Scouts seen that to where Texas, where he's the fourth, fifth best receiver on that team.
Yeah, and Nick Volker said Martinez is a mid RB2, where he would have been the guy. I
mean, James had a decent year, but I think if he played at Oregon State, he would have had an even better year. But
yeah, I think the biggest, like Lolohea or Silas, are the two that kind of come to mind as have maybe hurt their stock because they didn't get they left for quote unquote exposure, but they haven't got that. Easton and Akili, I would say
it's banged up a little bit too.
Yeah, but I think but again, they go to SC, and I get it. It's hometown team. Mom played at SC. I get that part. They got the money, but I mean, they're playing on a mid-level USC team.
And they're what? They're 5-6 too.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, I mean, the grass isn't always greener, and I think the coaches will be able to, say that. And then you have coaches that have been you have Gundy and Keith Hayward who have been, around the big programs. So
I wouldn't expect the amount of players that like high level players that left last year happens this year. There will be some, but the Beavers, it won't be like this year where we're gonna say there's 3 starters back. Like they'll have at least 3 starters back on each side of the ball, I would imagine.
So Idaho Beef fan says the young interior defensive linemen, Collins, Johnson, and Pomea, played really well on Saturday. Next year, Norris, Schuster, and hopefully Hill and Howard will be back. That room starts to look pretty deep. Do we look to add depth there or develop what we already have there? Do we worry about losing some of those guys? Yeah,
I mean, I think you always are trying to add depth and improve. I think they'll go out for a guy or two in the portal. Because I know those guys, Howard's more of an edge, so he's not really in that interior defensive lineman discussion. I do think it's really crucial to have high-level depth. So I think they'll pursue that. In terms of guys being pursued, I think Collins is a guy who's going to get some money thrown at him.
Yeah,
he's probably the biggest one I'd watch out of all those guys, but I think they would all stay. That's kind of my
Collins is definitely the one that's on my radar. Tyree Hill, we haven't seen him
or
heard anything from him. I wouldn't be shocked if he actually is portal. I don't know anything, but just based on the fact that we haven't seen or heard much from him. So yes, I think they need to go for some depth there. High level depth, like Jake said, a contributor. Okay. So I don't know if you read this, Jake, but Barnes yesterday, Scott Barnes, athletic director, sent out an email, Onward Beaver Nation. What do you see as the main takeaway from that email? Is there a message in the message, or was it just a good time for a status report?
I actually haven't read the email, so
Okay. It kind of just went over kind of their plans on, that they didn't give specifics. The biggest takeaway I had was that it really looks, he bringing in NIL will be part of the athletic department. So that I think is a big thing, how they do that, and also funding additional scholarships. Those are the two big ones. I think they're still figuring out what that looks like, but he did say revenue share would be in the 20.5 million a year is, what their goal is. So, and that would be to stay, I think what I've read, that would be to kind of keep that power status. So something to kind of keep your eye on. It didn't go into specifics. It was very high level, but there's that Oregon State plans to compete at the highest level. And he also, I think this message also kind of said that they are still working to, the TV side of it, the TV partner, and also adding the 8th football program. And it didn't sound like they're in a super big hurry on that. Okay, Reese or Beav. Sorry I'm late. Who are the injured kids who we lost for the season to injury who will likely be contributors in 25?
I can go down the list.
I think you have the list ready.
Yeah, I can just go down it. I mean, sorry, I gotta get it up real fast. Okay, let's see. Takari Hickle, Jimmy Valson, Tyler Moreno, Harlem Howard, Kelsey Howard, Machado, Nick Norris, Cord Shaw, Jemai East, Tyler Volton, Noble Thomas, Kobe Singleton, Jacob Strand. I'm trying to think of anyone else.
So that's 3 offensive linemen, 2 D linemen.
Hickle, Howard, Norris.
Norris. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, that's about everyone.
That's a big.
Amari in York as well.
Okay. That's a big list of guys that, you guys have heard us harp on it week in and week out, of especially defensively, guys you're missing. That, we saw Nick Norris go down. We saw Kelsey Howard go down. Tyler Moreno. Hickle was that spring? Okay, so he should be back for spring. Jake did say he saw Kelsey Howard riding a bike today.
Yeah, as I was driving out, I stopped for a guy, and he drove across his bike. So I'm like, it's a good sign.
So he's making progress as well. So yeah, a lot of names on that out for the season, and we're still kind of determined about Jam, whether he will apply. Well, whether he will apply and whether he will get that medical hardship. We had heard he was applying,
but he did walk on senior day.
And he did walk on senior day. So, and he did take off Oregon State football from his Instagram.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Gobranson said in his post-game presser that he's undecided.
Yes, correct.
So there's always a chance, but we could see big bump.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of funny.
That'd be funny to have him back. So, yeah, he said he needed to sit down after the season, talk to his family. I think he already has – does he have 2 bachelor's degrees, or does he have a master's and a bachelor? Do you know?
Bachelor and master's.
That's what I thought too. I know he has 2 degrees. So
yeah. He's only a year older than me, so he's –
yeah. 4 years. He's been in school for 4 years, right?
This is 5th year.
Oh, 5th year. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he graduated in like 2 years, though.
Yeah, no, he graduated in like 2. Yeah.
Smart guy.
Smart kid. Anything you want to add before we dive out of here? Oh, here, Nick Volker jumped in. Thank you for all your comments. Ben has a master's in public health. So there you go. And I know he wants to go to med school. So it'll be interesting. I think that'll probably come down with parents and then sitting down with Gundy too, and kind of feeling that out.
What the staff wants.
Yeah. So Jake leaves tomorrow morning for Boise. I'm hosting a big Thanksgiving dinner. Anything else you want to throw out there before the Boise game? No? Go Beavs. And one more push, because I don't want you guys to miss out. If you're not a member of BeaverBlitz, take advantage of our current Black Friday, Cyber Monday promo. 75% off a year membership to BeaverBlitz. $26.85. Get you a full year. No strings attached. Join us. It's super easy. You can jump right on the website. We'd love to see you in the lodge. Lots of discussion goes on. and some other tidbits that we maybe don't talk about publicly. But that does it. Last game of the season, unless the Beavs somehow make a bowl game, but we'll be back next week to kind of preview recruiting signing day. And we'll be back next week with another episode of the Damn Podcast.